I've made a lot of mistakes, so you don't have to. Hey everybody, Chris with Hikes. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel's for beginner backpackers. And over the years, I have had a lot of backpacking fails, especially when I was just starting out. And fortunately for you, you don't have to make those same mistakes. So today we're going to talk about my top 10 backpacking fails and how you can avoid them. All right, starting with number 1, packing too much stuff. Now, on my very first overnighter, I spent 3 nights in the wilderness and I packed everything. Packed my fears. I had several changes of underwear and socks. I had an extra pair of pants. I had 2 extra shirts, and I packed way too much food. Had all kinds of stuff in a first aid kit that I didn't even know how to use, and just way too much. And that pack probably weighed over 40 pounds. So, starting out, don't pack your fears. Make sure that you just take the essentials. Of course, you want to be comfortable out there, but you're not going to need a whole bunch of extra clothes. You're not going to need way too much of anything that's going to keep you feeling psychologically safe, but putting tons and tons of weight on your back. That trip, the first day was 13 miles, and I thought I was going to die when I got to about mile 10, because it was just so much weight. It would have been such a better time, and so many of those things I packed, I brought home without ever using. So that's number 1. Footwear. Whatever you're going to be wearing out there on the trail, break it in. If you got hiking boots and they're brand new, you're going to probably get blisters if you wear them for the first time while you're on your first trip. And that's what happened to me. I bought some hiking boots, and on that first trip, that's the first time I wore them. And that was a disaster. Breaking in your footwear is important. So if you want to avoid blisters and avoid having a really bad time out there, break them in. Wear them to work. Wear them to church. Wear them wherever you go. I usually wear new footwear for about a month before I go out there. And that's helped a lot with avoiding blisters. So that's number 2. Number 3, hydration. Going back to that first trip, I had so many fails on that first trip. Staying hydrated. So back then, that was about 25 years ago, I had an old style pump filter. Thank goodness they don't make those anymore. Took forever to filter water. And so I didn't want to filter water any more than I had to. It was about 95, 98 degrees on that trip. And as I got closer to my destination, I was running out of water. It was exposed. I was in the sun, and that just killed me, coupled with a 40-some pound backpack. So stay hydrated. Hydrate before you go as much as you can. Take water with you, and whenever you get an opportunity to filter more water, take that opportunity. You don't want to get dehydrated out there. It's really hard to reverse those effects. So be proactive, take lots of water, take a filter when you come to water, drink a lot. If you have a hard time reaching that water in your backpack, try getting a chest strap for it. And if not, don't be stubborn. Just stop, take your bottle out, take a drink. Number 4, same trip. Man, failed a lot when I was a beginner, and that makes sense. So the tent I had was a backpacking tent from Wenzel. It was tiny, a tiny little tent. That thing, it was maybe this tall, just big enough for your body. Even though I had over 40 pounds of stuff, like, had this tiny tent. And it was stupid. And then it rained, so I was stuck in this tiny tent. So get yourself a tent that's going to be comfortable. And you can save weight with a bigger tent. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. After that tiny tent, I just went and bought a 7x7 Walmart tent. It wasn't that much heavier than the tents that we buy for backpacking specific. So make sure if you're going to be in camp for more than just sleep, get yourself a tent that's going to work for you. Related to your tent is your sleep system. So wherever you're going, figure out what the weather's going to be like. How cold is it going to be? Because you want to stay warm when you're sleeping. So think about what kind of sleeping bag you're going to need, what temperature rating, and definitely sleeping pad. My fail came the first time I was on Mount Hood when I had a sleeping pad, stupid climate sleeping pad, that had next to zero insulation. And I literally was shaking violently all night. I didn't sleep a wink before we did our summit attempt. So have a sleeping pad that's going to be appropriate, and have a sleeping bag that's going to be appropriate. Because I've also brought bags that were not warm enough. So just think about that. I've had some miserably cold nights just because I was on the fence about what to take, or I just didn't have the gear that was appropriate. So put some thought into it. Don't freeze at night. You'll have a better time. Okay, if you don't have a satellite messenger, you might want to invest in that. Because if something happens to you out there, especially if you're hiking solo, it's a good idea to be able to call for help. And one of my biggest fails was off trail, going over a ridge, kind of a shortcut from one lake to another. Really cool route. I had done it before, and this time there was a bunch of snow on the north face. There was a lot more snowfall over the wintertime. And I tried to be careful, and it didn't matter. And I slipped, and I started shooting down a very steep slope uncontrollably. I didn't have an ice axe because it was summertime and I didn't expect snow. And I thought I was going to die. And when I stopped sliding in a boulder field, I thought I had broken my arm. I had broken my glasses, and I had huge bruises, cuts everywhere, and I felt like I could barely walk. And I didn't have a Garmin InReach at that time. I bought one right after that trip. I got out okay, but it could have been bad, especially being off trail like that. So having some kind of a Garmin type messenger, really good idea. And if you don't, probably a good idea to go with friends. And speaking of a Garmin, having some sort of a GPS device, good idea. You can do that on your phone. There's all kinds of apps. I use Gaia, works great. Now, I've been turned around a few times out there. It happens. And having a map helps you backtrack. And having some kind of GPS device also helps you locate exactly where you are. So that's super helpful. Now, I've never been horribly lost in the woods. I grew up in the woods. But I have been turned around for sure. And I've had to backtrack on trails before, so having a Garmin is helpful. Now, some of my biggest fails, first time I was maybe a little cocky. I was using a Garmin, I was going off trail, same trip that I got hurt on. I was headed up to that area at the time. And I was tracking my location, and I knew I was going in the right direction, and I was trying to save battery. So since I felt pretty confident I knew where I was going, I turned it off, and I continued picking my way up through the brush. And I got a little bit off track, and I didn't realize that until the terrain started to level out and then go down, even though I knew I needed to go up a steep incline to get to this lake. So I turned on my phone, I checked Gaia, and saw that I had gone too far west. So instead of backtracking, I decided to just go directly to where I was going to go in the first place. And that went up a pretty steep cliff, and being stubborn, I climbed up that cliff, and that was stupid. I could have got hurt pretty badly, and I did get cuts and scrapes, and it was pretty sketchy. Now, if I would have just kept the phone on the whole time, I would have just checked it along the way, and when I started to get off track, well, then I would have got back on track, and I wouldn't have had to go up that cliff. It was an adventure. It was dangerous because I was by myself. And since I wasn't where I said I was going to be, if I'd gotten hurt, not having a Garmin, it could have ended really badly. So definitely have some kind of navigation and check it frequently just to make sure you are where you think you are. Same thing in Yosemite. I went up to the top of Yosemite Falls, was going to go over to El Capitan. There was tremendous amount of snowfall, and there was one set of tracks once I got into the snow. And it was really hard to follow, lost those tracks. I kind of knew the terrain based on the maps, but there was no trail. And fortunately, Google Maps, I had one bar. I was able to kind of figure out where I was. But again, just be smart, have some kind of navigation. All right, so if you're fat like me, you're going to have some limitations compared to 20-year-olds that are physically fit and go running every day. So know your limitations. Don't plan a trip that you're not going to be able to accomplish physically. So definitely it helps to exercise, get in shape, eat well, and I don't. So it's a little bit more of a struggle. And last year, I decided I was going to summit Mount Adams in Washington, and I failed at that because I wasn't physically fit enough. It was a great adventure, but I didn't reach the summit, even though the year before I'd been at the top of Mount Shasta. But you let yourself go, you get overweight, you don't exercise, know that you're going to have limitations. Like I said, that was a great adventure. It doesn't haunt me. It's not that big of a fail, but I could have accomplished it if I'd been, better at taking care of myself. Or if I really knew my limitations, I probably wouldn't have made that my goal. All right, so it's very likely that if you're going backpacking, you've already packed the food you're going to take. So you're going to be pretty safe there. But if you see berries along the trail or mushrooms, things like that, make sure that you know what they are before you eat them. Now, I have never had a problem with that. But one of my biggest fails was when I was at Capitol Reef. I was camping on BLM land, and I was able to have a fire. So I thought it'd be a really cool idea to have some sausage dogs. And read by the fire and enjoy myself. What I didn't have was a cooler, and I bought those sausage dogs, and I ate them many, many hours later. And of course, I'm in Utah, so it's pretty hot out. And I spent the whole night in a massive windstorm trying not to throw up all over in my tent or poop my pants. It was the most miserable night I have spent on the trail, and I thought I was going to die because I ate something I shouldn't have. So yeah, just be careful about what you eat out there. If it's not shelf stable, you're probably gambling with it after a couple of days. I can't count how many times I've left something at home that I should have packed. And it's not just overlooking something that you might need. It is knowing you need it and not packing it. And that's happened lots of times to me. The one that was most evident was back on Mount Adams. Shoveled a bunch of snow, made a beautiful camp, beautiful views. Started up the stove after melting snow. Cooked my freeze-dried meal. And realized I'd left my spoon at home. Since I was above tree line in the snow, all I could find for an eating utensil was a flat rock. It was a mess. It was comical. And it wasn't life-threatening, but makes sense that you could leave something at home that's crucial. So make a list, check it off as you pack it, or use an app. I have one called, ironically, Don't Forget the Spoon. And that works pretty good for me too. So make sure you don't leave anything at home that you're gonna need. And you can do that just by making a list and being mindful. So, all right guys, so that's my 10 backpacking fails that you can avoid just by not doing the things I did. So I'm kind of curious, if you've been backpacking, what's your biggest fails? Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear all about that kind of stuff. So anyway, if you found this useful, consider subscribing. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.